Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Woodke, and I work for the University of Plymouth. Now, first of all, I have to apologize to you because you can't see me. Something's gone wrong with the video, and we can't figure out how to change it. So I went to the hairdresser today. I put my makeup on, and you can't see it. So I'm very sorry about this, and I do apologize to you that you basically just going to see the screen and you're not going to see the person giving the presentation. But as I said, I hope it's still going to be for you worthwhile to attend today's session. So as I said, my name is Anna and I work for the University of Plymouth. I'm a regional manager in the international office. Normally I would be traveling to Turkey and I would be talking to you. I would be talking to our partners at IEFT or my representatives and to parents and students. But of course, this year everything is very different. And therefore, I'm working from home and I'm talking to you from my home office here in Plymouth. Now, what I will be doing for the next 30 minutes, I try to keep it shorter than that for you to have the possibility to ask questions. I will be talking a little bit about the university. I'm going to introduce the university to you. If there is something that you have already heard, I do apologize. But as I said, for those who don't know much about the university, it might definitely be worthwhile sticking around and listening to the presentation. I'll be talking about the courses that we offer, just an overview, not in detail. Then we're going to talk about how much does it cost to study and live in Plymouth. And then last but not least, I will try to explain and paint you a picture of what is happening here in Plymouth and on campus at the moment. And then, of course, you will have the chance to ask your questions. You can ask your questions in the option that you have on the bottom. There is a chat option and a question option, and I will answer them at the end of this session, at the end of the presentation. So for those of you who do not know much about the university, I've just put a few points on here, which I think are definitely worth listening or hearing about. We are a modern university, which means that we were founded as, or got the university status nearly 30 years ago, but our tradition in teaching as a higher education institution goes back much further. We were actually founded as the Royal School of Navigation, something like 150 years ago. But you might have heard sort of the differences between modern and not modern universities in the UK, and we are considered to be a modern university. And as a modern university, we have been consistently ranked amongst the top in the United Kingdom. We are also quite well known for our research, which again, for a modern university, it's quite an achievement to have, to be ranked amongst the best in the country for research. And the reason why I'm putting that here is because even if you're doing an undergraduate degree, you will still be influenced by the research that our academics are doing. And of course, if you're then moving through the ranks and you're doing a postgraduate degree or a research degree, then the kind of research that we are doing is becoming more and more important. We are a very safe city, and we are a very friendly city as well. The other thing I would like to point out is this one here. As you can see, we became 2 years ago number 4 in the country, and we have something like 160 universities in the country for the experience of international students on campus or at the university. So what happens every year is that students are being asked, how happy are you? What is the support that you get? And then there are different categories of awards, and the University of Plymouth in 2018 became number 4 in the international category. What that means for you, it means that obviously our international students here on campus seem to be quite happy with the support that they are getting from us. So whereabouts is Plymouth then? Most of you will know where London is, and that's also where most of our students would normally fly in. It's the easiest. to fly into Heathrow, and then you go direction of southwest, and about 3.5 hours later, depending which mode of transport you are using, you will come to the city of Plymouth. And in the city of Plymouth, you will find the University of Plymouth right in the city centre. So this map here shows you the city centre of Plymouth. You've got the railway station there, and then this, all those pink areas, this is all the university buildings, the campus, and this is the city centre here. So as you can see, we are right in the city centre. And we are also called Plymouth has called itself Britain's Ocean City, and I'll show you why that is, because we are indeed right by the sea. So what you see here is an aerial shot of the university, but also of the city. This is the shopping center here. And then all you need to do is basically just walk 10 minutes from campus and you are by the sea. This is the Hoe, this is the park by the city, by the sea. This is also where we are holding our graduation ceremonies. And then when you look back, down here is the university with its campus. And as you can see as well, I said earlier, we are a modern campus. And so our buildings that we have are all purpose-built as well. So this is just Portland Square building. It's quite nice. I quite like it there very much. You've got the Students' Union there. You've got the library over there. And just look around a little bit. So there you go. As you can see, it is quite a modern studying environment. Let's have a look at the library for 1 second, if I can find it. It's not that. There we go. To give you an idea of what it looks in the inside, as you can see, a lot of open spaces, open study spaces. It's got 24 hours, 7 days a week access. So students can use the facilities like the library 24/7, which is quite good, especially if you have an assignment that needs to be submitted the next day. Last but not least, I'm just going to show you one of our halls of residence, because especially undergraduate students tend to prefer to stay in a hall of residence. So that's the kind of room that you would get: a bed, a desk. You know, most of the time you also have a little bathroom, so it's en suite, so it is quite modern, very clean, and of course on campus. Right, let's go back to our presentation. That kind of map, your interactive map, you will find on our website. So if you want to go there and look around a little bit more, please feel free to do that. So yeah, so as we said, that's the university, and we are right in the city centre. I hope you did get a little bit of a flavour of what it looks like to be living and studying in Plymouth. Now, we normally have around 10, 15 students joining us from Turkey on campus. They come both our undergraduate and postgraduate studies, and they come for a great variety of programs. Those two that I picked here both happen to have done something with transports, maritime business and shipping, and it tends to be quite a popular program or a subject area with our Turkish students. But of course, there are many more programs that we offer. The University of Plymouth is what we call comprehensive university. That means that we are offering a great variety of subject areas. So everything from business, law, arts, up to medicine, dentistry, science and engineering. This is all being taught at the university. As I said, it's a very comprehensive place. Those programs are taught across 3 faculties, and I'm going to talk briefly about what the faculties offer. If I was talking about every single subject that we do, we would be sitting here for a very, very long time. So first of all, the Faculty of Science and Engineering. There you find the typical engineering subjects, civil, electrical, mechanical engineering. We also offer robotics, which tends to be quite interesting for Turkish students because that is the closest what we have to mechatronics. And we do offer that on both undergraduate and postgraduate degrees level. Then we have the area of marine and ocean sciences. Again, tends to becoming more interesting for our Turkish students, you know, giving the geography of your country. So we are doing like ocean sciences, hydrography, and marine biology in there. If you decide to do something related to computing, you can both at undergraduate and postgraduate level choose to do something either very specific or do something more general. So the more general programs would be like a BSc in computer or computing sciences, but obviously more specialized would be something like cybersecurity, like games development. So it's completely up to you whether you want to do a more general undergraduate degree and then specialize on postgraduate level, or even start with quite a specialized program on undergraduate level. Then we have the subject areas of the School of Earth, Geography and Environment. We have been teaching environmental sciences since the mid-80s, so it is a very, very well-established subject areas within the university, and it is becoming more interesting to students outside sort of Europe. So we have more students coming from all over the world doing environmental sciences. And then we do have the School of Biological Sciences, and we are teaching chemistry as well. The second faculty that I'm going to briefly talk about is the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Business. As you can see, it is a huge faculty when you're looking at all the different areas that are being located within that faculty. So we've got the green areas here, which would have been, or which are so traditionally the more arts areas, where we're doing design and architecture. And architecture is something that is of interest for our Turkish students on both undergraduate and postgraduate level. But we also have things like humanities and performing arts. And then this one in the middle here, this is everything that's got to do with business. There are, of course, many more programs that we offer than what we have on here on that screen. Those are just the subject areas within the business school. So again, like with computing, you can either study something very general, like business and management, and again, you can do that on undergraduate and postgraduate level, or you can go into something much more detailed and specific on undergraduate level already, like the international shipping, or like the logistics, like those two students that we've seen earlier from Turkey. It is quite a fashionable subject for Turkish students, or do something like economics or accounting and finance. And then last but not least, we have also the School of Governance in here, which teaches international relations and politics. International relations, again, quite popular with Turkish students, but also our MA education has seen a few applications and students joining us from Turkey. Last but not least, we've got the Faculty of Health. And within the Faculty of Health, we have those 5 different schools, so biomedical sciences, health professions, medicine, nursing, and psychology. Again, this is a very big faculty and it offers a great variety of programs. And I've put the programs that we offer down here. So you can see in biomedical sciences, that would be for students who have a very strong, let's say, biology background or science background, and say, I want to find the cure for COVID-19. I want to find the vaccine for COVID-19. Or those students who say, oh, I want to go into cancer research. Those students would normally join a program in biomedical sciences. They wouldn't do medicine or dentistry. They are the ones who see themselves in research. They want to be in white coats in the laboratory, and they are the ones who are doing the medical research that leads to the invention or the development of new vaccines, of new medicines, of new treatments as well. Then we've got the health professions like optometry, occupational therapy, physiotherapy you will know as well, and of course nutrition and dietetics. Again, those programs are taught on undergraduate and postgraduate level. All those programs in the health professions will have slightly different entry requirements with regards to English language, but I'll come to that in a minute, because the health professions as well as nursing over here is where our students, and of course the medicine ones, is where our students have placements with patients right from the first semester. So the English language requirements will be higher. We're looking for an IELTS of 7 in those. We've got medicine and dentistry. If you are interested in any of those subjects on undergraduate level, please get in contact with me later, because as you can imagine, they are incredibly competitive and they are also quite expensive, and they are very different in the application process to any of the other programs that we offer at the university. Then we also have the School of Nursing, again for undergraduate and postgraduate studies, and psychology. And within the School of Psychology, the one that is most interesting or most popular with our Turkish students is our MSc in Clinical Psychology, which is a one-year program like most of our master programs are. Right, I talked about the entry requirements on Turkey with regards to English and with regards to the patient centered courses in the Faculty of Health. But of course, those are the exception. Then we have the overall entry requirements for students from Turkey. We do accept, as a rule of thumb, for both undergraduate and postgraduate studies, students coming directly from the school or from the university. But of course, we have to look very clearly and very detailed on the profile of what you have studied, and also which university you have gone to and the subject that you have studied. We all know it's harder to get, it's harder to get a very good grade from Istanbul Technical University in, mechanical engineering or civil engineering than from another university for another subject. So we are looking at each of your applications in a very detailed way, and see if we think that you are eligible for direct entry. And then you have to show that you got English as well. And with the exception of medicine and health, we normally ask for a 6 overall from your IELTS, or a 6.5 for postgraduate studies, or an equivalent. So that equivalent can be the TOEFL, the Pearsons. I'll come to those in a second. And then some programs you also need to have an interview, or you have to submit a portfolio for the arts programs. But all of that information is on the website, or if you have questions, please feel free to ask me in the first instance. Those students where we say you do not quite fulfill the entry requirements for direct entry, both undergraduate and postgraduate, we will ask you to do a preparation course. Now, for undergraduate studies, this is called a foundation, and it's normally between 6 and 9 months long. For postgraduate studies, it is a pre-master's program, which is 6 months long. So those are the subject areas here where we're offering pathways into our degree programs. And you can see that apart from medicine, there are basically pathways or foundations into every single of our subject areas that we are teaching at the university. Those that are in red are the ones where we are currently also offering pre-masters. So those are the programs that say if you're coming with a GPA which is too low, especially the research is not quite where we want it to be, the research skills, then we would ask you to do a pre-masters, and then you can come directly after the 6 months into our master program. Talking a little bit about finances, I'm very sure that you've been waiting for this. How much does it cost to study at the university? And I do know the lira does tend to go down at the moment, and that is obviously not very good for Turkish students. But we do have some scholarships available that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But this is basically what you need to take into consideration when you are applying for a degree at the University of Plymouth, those figures that you've got here. So on the one hand, you've got the tuition fees. For undergraduate studies, that are £14,200 a year. We do not make a difference between the kind of course that you're studying, so whether it's a technology course or whether it's a humanities course. They are all £14,200 with the exception of medicine and dentistry, which are much more expensive. And the postgraduate taught programs, so your MSc and your MA programs, there we do make a difference between the programs that are being taught in laboratories. That's the band 2, so they are a little bit more expensive. They are £16,200, and those which are classroom based, which is the band 1, and they are £15,200. These are the tuition fees. In addition to that, you have to remember that you also have to show that you can support yourself whilst you're in the UK. Yes, you're allowed to work. Yes, you're allowed to work part-time on campus or off campus. But the main the main reason for you to come to the UK should be to study. And so you've got the visa office that makes sure that you have the means, the financial means to support yourself whilst you're studying. And they say you have to show that you have £1,015 per month in your account for 1 year, so for 9 months. And that is the living expenses. So this is what the visa office says you should have. Now, in reality, your living expenses in Plymouth will be much lower than that. We are a city that has a great variety of accommodation for our students. So if you want to pay less, that is definitely always a possibility. Of course, there's also a possibility to pay much more. As you see, the university is in the city centre, so our students don't have to commute to work. You don't have to take a bus. You don't have to take a train or anything. You can basically live 5 to 10 minutes walk from campus. That brings the living costs down. And so we are basically saying around £800 maximum really per month is what our students pay. In reality, it is between £650 and £800 a month for everything, included everything, with the exception of international travel, of course. As I said, we do have international scholarships available. We do not have Turkey-specific scholarships. All of our scholarships are merit-based. So we want to reward you for being a good student. Now, you also have to, when you do your research, have to keep in mind that not all of our programs, not all of our schools are offering the same kind of scholarship. It's always up to the school to decide what they are doing with scholarships. So it's definitely worth checking the website. And if you are in doubt, check with me whether the course that you are interested in offers a scholarship. We have scholarships both for undergraduate and postgraduate studies. And for both scholarships, for both levels, for undergraduate and postgraduate, we have 2 kinds of scholarship. The first kind of scholarship is what we call the merit scholarship, where you get automatically £2,000 off your tuition fees if you exceed your entry requirements. So for postgraduate study, that means if you're saying you must have a 2.7 and you get a 3 or a 2.9, then you would get automatically a scholarship of £2,000 that comes off your tuition fee. For undergraduate studies, that means, let's say, if we're saying you must have a GPA of 75% and you get 85%, the same thing applies. If you're getting in directly into year 1, you'll get £2,000 off your tuition fees. And if you are remaining a good student, you'll have the possibilities to get a scholarship over the rest of your studies as well. Look on the website, as I said, they are detailed there. And those merit scholarships are automatic. You do have some excellent scholarships. Those you have to apply for. So if you find yourself to be an outstanding student, then you definitely should apply for the Academic Excellence Scholarship, which is 50% of your tuition fees in the first year. And then if you're undergraduate studies, for postgraduate studies, it is only 1 year. But for undergraduates, if you're then continuing to be an excellent student, you have the possibility to retain that scholarship. And the other, as I said earlier on, it's always up to each school to decide if they want to offer scholarships and what kind of scholarships they want to offer. The School of Psychology, for instance, offers a scholarship where they give students £4,000 off their first year of their studies if they meet the entry requirements. And as I said, all of those are not country specific. They are all based on your academic standing. Most of the money that you will spend in the UK, anywhere in the UK as a student, will be on your accommodation. This is why I've put this slide up here, and this is where you can see that you really can make a difference or have an influence on how much you are spending per month. On-campus accommodation, as a rule of thumb, in Plymouth and in most cities, will be more expensive than if you're living off campus. On-campus accommodation are those halls of residence that I showed you earlier. They are purpose-built, and normally you have first-year students going there. They like to have the security, the extra security that comes with living on campus. And then you have off-campus accommodation. Those are houses which are shared by students. So you're only living with students. You're not living with other people. You're living with other students, but you're living in a normal house and you share that. Most of that kind of housing within Plymouth is normally 5 to 10 minutes walk. So again, you don't need to take public transport, which keeps your costs down. So the lowest end, what you would need for accommodation, excluding your food bills, but all other bills included, would be around £80 per week. That makes about £240, £250 a month. But of course, that, especially if you're going onto, halls of residence, you can spend much more than that if you want to, and if your budget allows you to do so. Right, now we're coming to the last part of this session, where I'm trying to give you a picture of what is happening here in Plymouth on campus at the moment. Now, we did start, of course, our semester in September. Students did come to Plymouth over the summer. We have done a lot of changes to the teaching rooms, also to the way that we teach. And to prepare for the students to come to us when they, once they arrive in Plymouth. And of course, we have to make sure that we are sticking with the guidelines from the government, which do tend to change every few months. So we always have to be on our toes and make sure that whatever we are doing is in accordance with the guidelines. And what we have learned is that we have to be as flexible as possible, and in order to be able to give our students some kind of true university experience here in Plymouth. So as I said, our students arrived in September. Most of them are now traveling back home. The government, the UK government, has given students a window of when they are meant to be traveling back home within the UK, but also internationally. So students at the moment have the chance to get tested for COVID on campus for free, to make sure that if they are traveling back home, they're not bringing something back with them that they shouldn't. But apart from that, until now, our students will have had both online education, so courses will have been taught online, tutorials will have been given online, but we also try to make it so that every student has some kind of face-to-face teaching as well. It means, of course, that even the face-to-face teaching will be different from what it would have been in the past. So if in the past you would have had a room with 20 or 30 other students, you might now find yourself only with 10 other students, because you need to make sure that there is enough distance between each individual students and that we sort of stick to the guidelines. All of our buildings have now one-way systems in place to make sure that students not really, face each other when they are walking around. But apart from that, I do think that students are still getting an as good experience as possible, given the current situation, the current, developments. Now, as I said, our students are now all leaving campus. They will be taught the remaining week or two of the semester back home online, but we do expect them to come back in January. And that we then resume our teaching again with face-to-face, but also with online. We had to be flexible, not just with the way that we are teaching, but also with what we are accepting, with entry requirements. There was a time when students couldn't take an IELTS because the IELTS centers were all closed. And so we have then looked at other English language tests which are out there, which we can use. And apart from the Duolingo online, the IELTS indicator and special home edition, we probably will be using for September 2021 entry as well. But we also have, and that's the good news, we've got now January starts. And those entry requirements in English are definitely applying for the January starts. So there is a list of courses which we would normally always only have started in September, which we are now teaching starting in January as well. And it's not too late to apply for those. But if you are interested in studying starting in January, you really have to get your act together. You would have to apply now because all universities, and not just Plymouth, we will close over Christmas, and you would need to get your CAS, you put your application in, you need to get the offer, you need to get your CAS in place in order then to apply for your visa. So if you are planning to go to any university in the UK in January, you really have to act now and put your applications in. So there we go. Those are the master programs that we offer with January start, and those programs over here, that's our top-up programs. So that would be if you, let's say, had an associate degree, for instance, from Turkey, and you want to upgrade to a full bachelor's degree, then you could do that with the top-up program, and those are the top-up programs that we offer here in Plymouth for January start. And that takes me to the end of my talk. And what I will want to do now is obviously answer your questions. And I hope there have been quite a few questions. Once again, for those who came later to this meeting, normally you would see me, but something has gone wrong with technology. So all you get to see is the screen and you can hear my voice. So I'm going to leave this on so you can take down my contact details, and I'm going to work through your questions now. And again, my colleagues from IEFT, who I have worked with over the last few months, if I miss something, please let me know. Right, so the first question that we've got is whether the campus is near the city centre and whether it's possible to rent an apartment in the city centre. Yes, you can, of course, do that. As you see, we are in the city centre and there's lots of apartments available, so you don't have to go through student accommodation. If you want to have an independent apartment, then that's possible as well. What I would recommend in those cases is that you arrive a little bit earlier, so that you actually can see the place where you're going to move into. There's lots of estate agents on campus and around campus, and they specialize for students, for student accommodation, and they will be able to help you with that. Faisa's asking how the career opportunities for international students are after graduation. Well, first of all, you will know that you are allowed to stay in the UK 2 years after graduation. You have something that we call the post-study work visa. So you are allowed to stay and look for a job for up to 2 years. But of course, ideally, you want to get a job as quickly as possible and as good a job as possible. We have a career center in Plymouth on campus, where whilst you're studying with us, you can go in and you can help, like how to do research, how to write an application, what are the people out there that potentially employ me. We have graduate fairs on campus where we are inviting people to employers to come and talk to our students, and also the way that we have developed our programs, which is that we have placements in our programs. We're trying our students to work as much as possible with live projects. All of those things normally make students more employable. So our graduates do see a high employability rate afterwards. Of course, it varies from subject to subject. Selin is asking me whether you can do a PhD for the ELT programs for neurolinguistics. Unfortunately, saying we don't teach neurolinguistics. We do psychology and we do some neurosciences, but we don't do linguistics. So I am afraid, from what I know of the research that we are doing, we probably wouldn't be the right university for you. I'm sorry to say that. Shihan is asking, if I graduate from a non-accredited industrial engineering degree, can I apply for a Plymouth University Master's in Supply Chain Management? Not quite sure what you mean by a non-accredited industrial engineering degree. If it is a bachelor degree that you have, a BSc or a BA, which is not accredited by a specific professional body in Turkey, then we would definitely still look at your application. And as long as you have an undergraduate degree that is recognized or comes from a recognized university, then you can come and join us for the supply chain masters. If you want, Jihan, send me your email. Send me an email. My email address is there, as you can see. And tell me what degree you've done, and also your graduation certificate, your GPA, so that I can actually tell you whether you are eligible or not, or whether you should be doing a pre-masters. Next question is from Yusuf. Do you accept transfer students? I'm currently studying Istanbul Technical University, second grade. If you do, it depends which subject you want to do, Yusuf. If it is, coming back to accreditation, if it is an accredited subject like engineering in the UK, then it is difficult to transfer anything above the first year. But you're in the second year at the moment, so you would only really come into the, you would only come, if at all, into the second year then at the university in September. What they will need to see is all your transcripts. They need to be in English, of course, so we understand what you have studied. And then we are checking how many of the lessons, the modules that you have studied at Istanbul Technical are similar to the ones that we teach, and then we can transfer the credits. So generally speaking, yes, it is possible to transfer credits, but we need to see your transcripts and need to understand exactly what the degree is that you are studying. Gershon is asking, can you inform us about, I do apologize if I don't pronounce your names correctly, so I'm sorry about that. Can you inform us about the accreditation of departments such as education and law, and are they valid in Turkey? All of our programs tend to be accredited here in the UK. This is in order for students then to pursue a career here in the UK. And so our law degree and our education degree is, of course, accredited. If Turkey accepts that accreditation for their own means, it's completely up to Turkey. My first guess would be with law. If you're studying a degree in law in the UK, it will be very hard to practice law in Turkey. So obviously you're studying something that is UK based, and Turkey has its own laws. So to then become a practicing lawyer, a practicing solicitor with a UK degree would probably be quite difficult unless you practice in, let's say, an international firm that, you know, might do things like competition or whatever. So definitely be careful with law. And education, the same thing. States and countries tend to have keep the power over the education amongst themselves. And so you might find it slightly difficult to get automatic recognition back in Turkey. That is, I would definitely say, if you are interested in studying law or education in the UK, not just in Plymouth, do make sure with the Turkish ministries that they will accept your degree from the UK. Melissa is studying clinical nutrition in dietetics department. Is a master degree program for this? Yes. And how can you apply? Right. Melissa, we have in the UK, you normally study either nutrition or you study dietetics. The first one is accredited by the nutritionalists, and the second one by the Healthcare Council. So you would have to decide either to become a clinical dietitian or to become a clinical nutritionist in the UK. We offer clinical dietetics as a master degree. It's called an APP, so Advanced Professional Practice in Dietetics. And the nutrition that we do on postgraduate level, the MSc Nutrition, is a conversion program. So that would not be the right program for you. That's not for students who've done nutrition on undergraduate level. So it would most likely be the APP, so the Advanced Professional Practice. And if you go onto our website, you can apply directly on the website. But if you go to the University of Plymouth website, and you look at Turkey, there's also agents, a list of agents that we are working with, or you can ask me and I can give you a little bit of a helping hand as well. I hope this answers your question. Again, my email is there. Please feel free to contact me after the session here. She was asking whether there are accommodation options for students that plan to come with their family. Yes, there are. You would not be living on campus. You would be most likely living in private accommodation. And again, to what I said earlier, there are plenty of estate agents on and around campus, and there is plenty of accommodation to choose from. So it normally wouldn't be a problem. The university itself would not sort of give you the accommodation. You would have to apply for accommodation through one of the estate agents. But we do have students from all over the world joining us with their families. So it's not something that we haven't seen before. Damla's asking that vet school, university in Tokyo, do food hygiene and technology to do a PhD program at the University of Plymouth. It very much depends, Damla, which subject you want to do your PhD in. And this goes out to every one of you who is interested in studying a PhD in the UK. Most universities don't have PhD programs as such. If you want to undertake a PhD, it is normally that you have to find the right university with the right research group, with the right research area. So if you want to do something like food hygiene or food technology, you would need to find, which we don't do, you would need to find a university that actually actively does research in those areas. And then normally the university also has a contact person for those research groups. And my advice would be is to contact that person directly with a very brief summary of your research proposal and ask whether they would be able to supervise you to take you on as a PhD student. And this is for any PhDs in any subjects. Normally, it is a very personal, very individual approach that you are taking. And before you actually submit any kind of application, I would always recommend get in contact with the research group first and see whether they can actually take on your research proposal and take you on as a research student. Another use of, in my case, I have a very good LISA education with the GPA. It's not fascinating as LISA around 2.7. So if I enter IELTS exam and got a plus, do I have a high chance to be eligible? It depends what you want to study. If you, sorry, is it the same use of that we had earlier? Yes, second grade at university. My family. The best thing really is the best thing really would be is if you just send me an email and I can go in detail. Sort of a GPA of 2.7 isn't ideal, as you said. And we would need to look at the individual grades in your individual sort of subjects. Like if you, for instance, had, you know, history of the Turkish Revolution and you didn't really score very highly there, then we wouldn't care so much because it's not really of interest for the subject that you're studying at Plymouth. So why don't you just send me your transcripts or summary of what you've done, Yusuf, and I'll then get in contact with you via email. I think that might be better. Hilal is preparing for my college exam right now, in the TOEFL exam enough for Plymouth University. And how many grades do I need to get? The TOEFL, of course, is sufficient for most of our programs. It's, I believe, a 71 that we are looking for. And then if you go onto our website, it will tell you exactly how much you must have in each discipline. So as long as you're doing the TOEFL and you've got the right overall score and the individual score, then that would be absolutely fine for you to come to the UK, to Plymouth. If you fall short a little bit, then we do have English language summer programs where you can come and basically bridge the difference between what we are asking for and what you already have achieved. So let me just, hang on. I'm just going to go back. I share this. Oh, sorry, it's 76. So the TOEFL, as you can see now, it's not 71. It's 76 for direct entry to the university. And then it will tell you on the website itself, it will tell you what the individual scores are that you need. Is there a kindergarten on campus for students with children? We do have a kindergarten on campus, Yeshim. That campus, that kindergarten is both for staff and for students as well. You do need to make double sure that they can accept your child, because they tend to be quite busy and oversubscribed. And also, and that I think is it's a little bit different from Turkey. In the UK, you have to pay for kindergarten places, and it's not cheap. I'm actually German. For me, this is a completely new concept when I came here, is that you have to pay for childcare and the amount of money that you're paying for childcare. So I'm not exactly, I don't know how much exactly they are paying, but I do remember when I first heard this, I thought that's quite extraordinary. So keep that in mind as an expense. That yes, if you do come with a child and you want to bring your child to kindergarten or to nursery, there will be additional costs, and they are quite remarkable. Mina's asking, is it possible to have more than one scholarship at one time? I'm a psychology student, want to do master clinical psychology if I'm married. No, Mina, unfortunately not. It's always the case that you just can have one scholarship. If you are offered 2 scholarships, or if you are eligible for 2 scholarships, then you would normally get or take the scholarship with a higher value. So if you want to do the clinical psychology program, then the £4,000 is the highest scholarship that we have, because psychology does not participate in the excellence scholarship scheme. So they don't have the 50% scholarship. So the highest value that you could get for your degree program is the £4,000 scholarship, which, if you compare it with other universities, is actually still a very good offer, to be honest. You have to remember it's a 1-year program, the clinical psychology. Setina is asking, how much does it cost to live in Plymouth? It very much depends on you, and I think I sort of mentioned that in my talk earlier on. The living costs would normally be very much determined by where you live. So I just brought back up the accommodation choices. So the absolute minimum that we would normally say for accommodation that you need is around £250 per month. And that includes your bills, but not your food bills. So there and then you obviously have to buy some textbooks and that kind of thing, although we do have a library. So we would normally say realistically, the minimum is £650. But but most students will have or will spend a little bit more. And then you also have to remember that for visa purposes, the amount of money that they say you must have is obviously very different. It's much higher. That is because they've just taken an average. And to live in one city, it is more expensive than living in another city. And Plymouth has some of the lowest living expenses in the entire country. Are international students allowed to stay and work after work easily? Yes. As I said earlier, you have the 2-year post-study work visa. And during those 2 years, you are allowed to look for work. Yusuf, okay, that's brilliant. Yes. Honestly, Yusuf, if you just want to send me your things, and then I can take a look at it and I can talk to the academics as well. It's very straightforward. We do deal with transfers all the time. So as long as I've got your materials, as long as I know your grades and the subjects that you have studied, then I can take it from there. And I think this is the last question that's on the list. Is that correct, Burçe?
There is another one.
Have I missed something? Sorry. I think I answered everything, but
there's another message after Yusuf on the top.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've got another. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've got. Oops, we put that one there then. Are we able to do internship in scientific research at Plymouth University? I guess what you're asking is whether you can come as a IRIM, whether you can come as a on an internship to the University of Plymouth. Yes and no. At the moment, as you know, there are still sort of the Erasmus internships. That might be one option, that you try to come as a what we call a free mover. But it's not that easy. If you again drop me an email and you tell me which subjects, when you're talking scientific, obviously there's a lot of subjects which are scientific. So if you tell me what kind of subject you are interested in, then just drop me an email and I'll see if that particular program, or that particular research area would be happy to accommodate interns. It's very simple. I mean, the thing is, if you want to come to the university or anywhere as an intern, you do want to do something that is useful. And so although you would be helping the university, we also would have to put a lot of work into you as well to make it worth your coming. And therefore we need to make sure that the program or the research area that you want to go into is happy to receive you. I think this is now definitely the last question.
Yes, that's right. Anna, is it possible to drop your email address in the chat box as well?
Of course, yes. I always forget to do that. So there we go. Sorry.
They can contact you for further.
Yes, of course. So my email address is, and you can just paste and copy then, at plymouth.ac.uk. So it's awoodgate@plymouth.ac.uk. So just paste and copy. Okay. Yes, right, and this takes us exactly to an hour again. Well, a little bit shorter because we started 3 minutes late. So thank you everyone for joining us here today. Do take note of my email if you do want to stay in touch, if you do have questions, want things following up. So please feel free to get in touch with me. Stay safe, stay healthy, And I hope to see some of you at some stage in Turkey in the next year, or even here in Plymouth. And thank you also, Burcu, and the rest of the IEFT team again for organizing this session.
Thank you very much, Anna. Actually, this session was very, very informative and helpful for students. Thank you very much for all information you provided. It was amazing again.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully next year we will see each other at a physical fair somewhere in Istanbul. Hopefully we'll be able to.
We would love to see you. We would love to welcome you.
I would love to be back. I can't wait to be back.
Thank you very much. So,
okay, thank you. Take care, everyone. Thank you very much, and have a good evening. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.